Good morning. Again, Greg Petherbridge, Chicago Pneumatic. I'm the hydraulics attachments product manager for Chicago Pneumatic. I want to go through our breakers. We have a full line of breakers from a 200 foot-pounder to up to 12,000 foot-pounds. This particular model, all these models are the previous Krupp branded breakers out of Essen, Germany. In fact, Krupp was the initial founder, manufacturer, and patent holder of the first hydraulic breaker in the world in 1963. This particular unit's our 3,500 foot-pounder. We've got a 550 foot-pounder here. But some of the unique advantages and some of the history that we're changing is the constant advancement of technology that the factory is putting into updating these hammers so they are virtually maintenance free, especially in the rental industry. You've got a 3 breaker manufactured. You've got a head, a body, and a tool holder with tie rods. Our small units from our 200 foot-pounder all the way up to our 3,500 foot-pounder have really changed how breakers are operated these days. What is important to understand with Krupp, Chicago Pneumatic, Atlas Copco being the original patent holder of this breaker, that virtually every other breaker in this industry is a copy of the old Krupp. It's old 70s, 80s technology where we have upgraded and found errors in the old systems to what works better now in this particular industry, especially with the growth of the rental industry. Where you had an old 3-piece body, when the customer was prying on concrete, you'd have the tool which is directly in contact with the tool holder. You get some deflection with the guys when they're prying, and with that deflection, with this 2-piece body, you'd get a little bit of deflection when the piston would come down, which would prematurely wear the seal. Could be 6 months, could be 12 months. What we've done is we've taken that deflection point out and made it all one piece. We call it our monobody, from our 200 foot-pounder to our 3,500 foot-pounder. And with that monobody, we've basically taken the piston from running in 2 cavities to running in 1 cavity. And if you realize how a cylinder is built on an excavator, you don't have a 3-piece part or 2-piece, it's 1 cavity that the piston runs in. With that, we have several hundreds of breakers out that are 2.5 years old that we have not sold a seal kit for. And it's because of that technology that customers are finding they could go almost 3 years before they have to even get inside of this hammer and even look at the seals. We also have a field replaceable bushing that you basically take the tool out, the bushing pulls out right in the particular bottom of the field. You slide the new one back up. It's a 10-15 minute job, and it's a 5-10 minute job to change the tools. So you don't have to tear the hammer apart to change the bushings. In addition to that, we've taken the very expensive tie rods away, which are $200, $300, up to $1,000 a piece. And in the old tie rod design, you could basically use a tie rod one particular time. Because when you torque 500-600 foot-pounds, you're stretching the nuts. When you stretch the nuts, you're pulling the threads and stretching the steel in between. So if one were to snap, you'd have to replace all 4. That's $1,000, $2,000 right there. What we've done is we've taken the tie rods out because we've made a monobody, and we've got 8 bolts in the head of the unit that holds the entire unit together. This, you needed a torque multiplier, which would run into thousands and thousands of dollars. With our units, you can change them with a 3/4 to 1 inch wrench. We also have, if you look at this unit here, we have shock absorbers in the top and the bottom of our hammers. We're getting a lot of complaints from customers that the old styles that have side plates that don't have any shock absorption are tearing up pins and bushings and the loader arms, the excavator stick. They're also breaking loader arms. They're tearing the hard tubes off of the skid steers. and they're converting massive rental fleets across the country with our new breaker because of our shock absorber. But in addition, what is unique is we have a hybrid technology. Our hammer is not only hydraulic like some and gas like some, but we have the combination of both. It's hybrid. So we not only drive and fire the piston hydraulically, when the piston recoils and hits the gas chamber, it acts as a shotgun shell basically and blows it into additional force of almost 20–25%. Right now, if you look at the AEM ratings, our AEM ratings are anywhere from 15 to 35% higher in foot-pound blow energy actual measured than anyone in this industry. So the Chicago Pneumatic hammers are the most powerful hammers in the industry. With all the new technology that we have, this gas chamber here is the additional power. That's what makes us more powerful with our hydraulics. But not only is this gas chamber unique, because it's also a gas accumulator. A number of companies still have a bladder, and if you know a bladder accumulator, it's good for 6 months, 8 months, maybe 9 months. It has to be repaired, which means it has to be taken apart. That's 4, 5, 6 hour process. In addition, it's an expensive cost. Ours is never replaced. You simply recharge it. It could be 1 year, it could be 2 years, but it's simply putting a test hose in it with a gauge and putting another 10, 20, 30 pounds, and that could be 2 years before you have to do that. But what this also acts is energy recovery. Our unit, if it gets into rock, particular unit, 550 pound unit, it's good 8, 10, 12, 18-inch concrete. If you get a customer that takes it into 3 foot, what happens is you'll get a little bit of an anvil effect. You'll get a recoil in the piston. That recoiled energy forces that piston up a little bit faster. And what happens is, because we've got a shock absorber in here, we absorb that energy and send it through to the next blow. That's unique to the Chicago Pneumatic product line. And the biggest thing is, you know, when you, I don't know if this is a good analysis or analogy, but when you buy a car, you buy a car with the engine inside. You don't buy a car with the engine on the outside. Many manufacturers still have the old design where they have a valve that's bolted on the outside of the unit. When that unit is bolted on the outside, because it's constant impact energy, the bolts loosen, the valve leaks. Our valve on every one of our units is internal, in line with the piston. It's the most efficient energy that there is. Anytime you take flow outside and go to a valve like our competitors, every time you hit and the flow is diverted, a 90-degree creates back pressure and reduces the efficiency in the hammer. So ours is more efficient than anybody in this industry. In addition, we also have automatic lubricator systems that you can put on that bolt right on the hammer that'll automatically lubricate it. So if the customer forgets to lubricate it for a day, he won't eat a bushing, because with ours on there, it's got a red line on the end of it that shows you just the progression of how much oil or grease you're using. And that's something that also is a bolt-on that comes with a hammer as an option. We also have rock hooks on the bottom of our bigger hammers. And overall, the whole percussion unit is basically floats inside the box. So because it's a whole box, the sound level and the decibel levels are much lower than anything out there. In addition, because it floats in the box and they have shock absorbers, when a customer is prying on concrete, when you have side plates or cross bolts, you got direct energy from the stick through the plate to the tool. They're going to break a lot more tools. With ours having shock absorbers on the sides and top, when the customer is prying, he's going to get a little bit of a relief before he snaps that tool, because of the flex in the box that allows that to absorb that energy so he doesn't snap tools. Everything here you see is German steel, German quality, German technology. Our small units are also come out of our factory in Sweden, where the smaller units, our 2 through our 8, are manufactured and assembled in our plant in Sweden. And overall, we've doubled our sales for almost the last 2 years constantly, and are setting up a number of big rental yards and rental fleets around the country. The hammer, while it's not totally maintenance free, if you grease with the proper grease in the bottom of the tool using a hammer paste or something with a 1900 2000F with the copper grease in it, it's almost a paste, sticky grease, difficult to get off your hands, but sticks on the tool, keeps the friction off of the tool and the bushing. Your bushings could last you a year, 18 months, 2 years if you properly maintain them. What that does is basically, if you don't wear your bushing and you keep your tolerances tight in your tool and bushing, your seals are going to last forever.